Hi guys, welcome to Digital TechJoint. Now continuing with our course on developing and web-based expense management using ASP.NET Core, we are in we are going to now deep dive into section 4, where we are going to create an expense category for an expense module, and we are going to create a master module for expense adding expense category. And most importantly, we are going to also show you how to include foreign key in your expenses table, and how to create a drop down that will allow customers and end users to select the expense category for all the expenses recorded saved in this module. So let's get started. As usual, I will walk you through the end product. So this is a end product. This is a landing page for login. So we also have a registration page where new users can be registered, and we log in. And once we log in, till now, whatever we have done, we can see. Uh, so now this is a complete product. So once you log in, you can see, we can see the welcome dashboard page, expense management. We can see expense categories. So these are the expense category which we are going to develop in this section in this course, and this will enable us to tag what sort of expense it is. And then finally we have expenses, where we can see all the expenses and add new expenses. In this course, as I mentioned, I'll be showing you how to create a drop down and populate all the expense category, so that once you add any new expense, you can also select the category. So this is what we are going to do, and also we are going to change the look and feel of our uh, website. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So this is a project. Let us now execute this project, which we had completed in till section 3, as I showed you. Now we had only added the expense module and a very basic expense module. We don't have a login or registration page. So when you click on registration expenses, you can see only date given to an amount. We don't have any category, and we don't also have an expense category master. So let's first go ahead and add the expense category master. Now in order to start with the new creation of data tables in a database, we'll go to the model class folder, right click on that and select new class, and write expense category entity. So our model class is defined. Let's go to the expense entity and just copy these to reference. We might require it, and just paste it above the namespace. So we'll add the fields. The first field is a primary key, capital K and key, and then you type public ID. Public, it should be, let's name it as expense category ID, and then prop tab changes to string tab and say expense category name. So our model class is ready. Let's go to our DB contest class and add the table, that is public db set. This will be expense category entity, and name it as expense category. Right, so we have added our table, we have added our properties in the model class, and we have also instructed the DB contest to create a table in a database called expense category. It's time to run the migration. So let's go ahead, and I recommend all the students and the users who have directly accessing this section 4 to go and watch the section 1, 2, and 3, where I explained the theory. Then we started with the project. We created an expense module. We explained about the migration entity framework, and we created the CRUD operations for expense. So please request to watch from section 1 video. So let's click on NuGet package manager, select console. Okay, let's add a command. So there are two migrations files which we created in the previous section. You say add. So let us also open the database. So this is our database, that is expense management. And right now we have only one table, expenses, and our migration history must be having two records. The initial, there's only one record, so the initial database. So let's go ahead and say add migration and say added expense category table. Enter. So we have successfully added the migration. You can see on your right hand side under the migration folder there is a migration added. Okay, so this is a migration code. So it is written the script to create a new table. Now let's go ahead and say update database. Done. Now if you go to the database, you will see expense category table added, and it will contain the columns which we define in the model class. Fine, so this is done. And also you can see in the entity frame migration history table there is an entry as added expense category master. So from the database part everything is done. Now let's go ahead and create the view, controller view, to create the expense category master. For that, I click on the controller, say add controller, select an MVC empty controller, just remove this one and just type over here expense category. So now we have created an expense category, and that we have a default method called index. Let's add the required references, data layer. Okay, now let's go and define db contest class, the and let's create a constructor and inject this db connection there. So it is created a contest. You can see it is passing the parameter db contest and passing it to the main class over here. So our db contest class is initiated. Okay, so now once this is done, our first method index will fetch all the expense category from the table. So just right click on that. So let's write the code over here. So basically this will be expense category categories underscore contest dot expense category and to list. Okay, and you can also just I expense you have to add the reference expense category dot models. Okay, and there's the expense category entity, and this is expense categories, and then we pass this to our view. Now let's go ahead and create the first view. So this is index, and we say okay. You notice on your right hand side under the view folder, now there is a folder called expense category. So this will show the expense category. Now let's go ahead and go to expense, go to expense index, copy this code and paste it in the index field. So it's a similar code, we are just change the, so instead of expense entity, this will be expense entity category. This will be a list of all expense categories. So view all, view expense category, and this is controller will be expense so this will be expense. What is the controller name? It's expense category. So control expense categories, expense category, and there will be a method we have not yet created called create, and this will be add new expense category. Now we're coming down, we are checking whether the record is there. If it is there, now this, the address will change. It will be only expense category name, and we remove these two. Similarly, this will be, we remove this and we just mention expense category name, and we remove this, but we are going to keep this. We are just going to keep these two box because we need to update and delete expense category. Controller name will be expense category, and this will be expense category ID. I hope you are getting what I am doing. So this is update and delete, and there's no expense category created yet. If there's no record, it will come to else, and then it will print this. So this is our ready, our page is ready. Let's try to execute this. Let us also do one thing. Let's go to this shared view layout and add one more link called expense category. So just copy this and paste. So we have copied the, so this will be expense category, and this will be index, and this will be expense category. So let us execute and see the output. So we can see we have added this expense category. We'll click on that. So view expense categories, no expense created. Now this won't work because we have not created the view for and the controller method for this. Let's go ahead and add the click on expense category. Now we need to add a method called create. So what we are going to do, we are going to use the expense one, and we are going to copy this because everything will remain the same. And we come to our expense category controller, we paste it, create. Now this will be expense category entity, and this will be expense category. Okay, and this we need to pass this method over here, and then we change it. So this our create method is done. Similarly, let's right click and click on add view to create this method. Okay, now you need to name it as create. You see the create method is added over there. Let's go to our expense create page. Okay, this will be similar to, we are going to copy this, go to our expense category, paste it, Now let's change this to expense category entity. Create new expense category. Record your expense source. So let this be create new category, say expense category. Now we don't want any of this stuff. We just want to one field, and that will be our expense category. And just copy this and paste it for input field and for validation. This is done. Now when you click on this, method will be called. So I've explained everything in detail in the expense module when we created expense controller. So that is the reason I'm just copying it, because we have explained everything in the section 3. So our method is ready. Let's go ahead and try to add one expense category, sorry, expense category. So we click on expense category. Now we click on add new expense category. Yes, so right now the model is not valid, so basically it will skip and it will show you the view. So this is a view of views created, create new expense category. Let's add one category called mobile bills and click on save button. So let's debug it. So we press F11, it comes down, expense added, and save changes, and then redirect to our page. Fantastic. Now you can see a record has been added. The button size is too big, so let's go ahead and try to reduce it. Let's go to our expense category index page. So the width is very, so what we do is that we'll increase this width to say 80 or 70, and let this be remain, and it's better. So we can reduce to 8, increase to 80, and we can change this mx spacing to 2. So then good. So this is looking good now. So we have done the addition. Now we have to do the update and delete. So let's go ahead. Like, this is not done. Okay. So now in the index expense category we have two methods, which is get expense details for update, get expense details for delete. So we don't want expense detail, we want expense category details. So let's reduce the expense, get expense cat details, get expense cat details for delete and for update. So whenever you click on update, it will fetch the record and display in a view where user can go ahead and update the record and click on submit for an update. Similarly, before deleting also we show the record and then take a confirmation to delete the record. So let's go ahead and add these two methods in the controller. So let's do first update. We click on the expense category, and what we do is that we go to expense controller and copy this get expense details for update, and also this update method, both is required. So we just copy this and paste this name over here. So when you click on get expense category details, it will fetch the record. Now here we need to make some changes. It's category, expense category, and then we pass the ID which is selected, and if it is not null, it will return you the expense details, expense category details. So just for better programming standards, let's put proper name so that there's no confusion. So this is passing in the ID which was selected. So in the expense category module, when you click on this button, you notice ASP-route ID, and we are passing the category ID. This will be passed over here, and then it will be fetched to our linking query, and we will fetch the records and pass it to the view. So this is one code. Second, once you see the data in the screen, in the view, this view, user are going to click on submit, and then we are going to call finally this method. So this is an update method which will pass the expense category entity, and then this is expense category, and we pass this entity model over here, save changes and redirect. So our two methods are ready. Let's go ahead and add the view. So first, get expense cat details for update. Right click, add view, select razor view. Make sure that, so just hold on, just make sure that your name does, just copy it and then say add view razor and just paste it over here. Okay, so this view is got added. Now what we'll do is that we will select, open create of expense category, and we copy that entire stuff in the get expense category details. Everything remains same. Instead of create, we just say update expense category, and this is update expense category, and this will be remain the same, and then we click on. So if you notice here, we have the method called form post create. So instead of create, this will be update. So in the index category, in the expense category, we can see this method is being called. So when you click on this button, it will go to expense category controller. It will find for this method get expense. It will fetch this record, show it to the end user in the view, this view, and when the user updates and clicks on the button, then it will go back. Since it is mentioned as update, it will go back to our expense category controller and invoke this method to update it. Let's execute this code. Finally, click on expense category. We add first in an expense, remove this breakpoint and add the breakpoint over here and here. Okay, now so I click on add new expense. I say to be updated. I click on save, so it's added. Now I click on update. Now this method, controller method is called. I say F10. See, this is an ID which is passed to. It fetches the record and shows it in the view get X category details, and I say to be updated to updated the category and click on save. Then this method gets called and it passes all the information over here in this entity. You can see updated and 0, and this will actually update the category. Now there is an issue. If you notice, the ID is empty. Why? Because if you go to this get expense category details, I missed out one hidden field which is required. Yeah, this, let's copy this, go to your get expense category details, just below form method, input ASP-for helper and then say expense category, and this should be hidden. So this got missed out. Anyway, we have identified and included it, because when you try to update and if you don't pass the ID, no records will be updated. So we click on expense category, we click on to be updated, and we have already run through this code. We'll click on updated and click on save. Now if you click, just put a mouse over it and you can see the ID is there. I'm sure this record will get updated. You see it's got updated. Now let's write the last piece of code, that is delete. So for delete also we are going to copy the same method, get expense category details for update, but this will be for delete, and this will be our expense category ID, and then we are passing that to the view. So let's right click and add view, right click, add view, razor, and click. So this has got added. Let's copy, this is the same code but there's a change over here. Now if you go to our expense category view for delete, just copy this which we copied it from for update, and say delete expense category, let this be there. Now here delete expense category. Now here we, this is will be in the input class. You need to add a tag called disabled, so nobody can make any changes, just a prompt. And this is not save, this is delete with question mark, and then the method is not update, it is delete. So let's go ahead and add the method delete. Okay, so let us copy this code of expense delete and click on expense category, and just below get expense category for delete, just mention over the expense category ID. Okay, and this is first find, if the record exists then it will remove it. So you say expense category dot remove, and we pass in this information. Okay, so this is expense category, and then we redirect it. So this is our code for delete. Let's now execute the code. So let's click on expense category. Let's add a category to be deleted, to be deleted. Save. Now let's click on delete button. Okay, so get expense cat details for delete, so it's not able to find this. Let's go ahead and check. So in your expense category for delete, let's go and check the index key whether we have mentioned the same view. Get expense cat details, get expense cat details for delete. Let's go to the controller and get expense cat for delete. Okay, I think it should work now. expense category and click on delete. Yes. Okay, so it has not found the ID. Okay, it's not. So here's a mistake in the get expense category details. Get expense. So basically here for delete, say expense category and then that change to this ID. I think so. Yeah, it's ID. Click on my expense category. Click on delete. Yes, now you're able to see the ID. So see here it is disabled. We can't do anything, and we click on back. It will return back to the screen. Now we click on this and we click on delete, and it got deleted. So this code is working for us now. We have created the entire module. Our expense category model is ready. Let's go ahead and add some real world category so that we can use it in our expense class. So let's go ahead and add it. So it's mobile bills, then it's personal loan, credit card bills, house rent, personal expenses. So these 4 5 6 categories we have added. Now what is our task? What is the next task? Next task is to include this category a drop down over here so that we can completely you know finish our expense module by tagging each expense with an expense category. So let's go ahead and do that. Now if you notice, there are two tables created. One is expense category, one is expenses. Now there should be a foreign key defined in their expense table, and there should be a relationship created between the expense category and the expenses. Now either you can come to the database, right click it and go to the design view and add a column as expense category, which is already defined over here. Otherwise you can use the entity framework migration class and do the needful. So let's go ahead and see how this is done through the migration class. So I close all the windows, and first thing I have to go to the model class and go to the expense entity. Here I'll be adding two properties. One is the expense category ID, which will be my foreign key, and then the expense category virtual table. So let's go ahead and do that. Public int expense category ID. Okay, and then I had the virtual, that is we are referring to the entire table, and expense category entity, and we name it as expense category, and we call this optional. It's nullable. So we do that, and then we also define the, so we are saying this is our table definition, and the one which you're going to define is the primary key for this. So basically we are going to say foreign, so we need to add schema support over here. and say schema. Now come over here and say foreign key, and we define as expense category ID. So this becomes our, we are telling this is a foreign key, and now in for this expense category we will use the display because we don't want to display, and we call it as expense category. We don't want to display as expense category ID. We want to display in the view as expense category, and we define the virtual table of the expense category in our expense entity. So once we make these changes, we need to run the migration so that the same is added in our database. So we click on, so we already in that screen, but still I'll show it to you. So we go to NuGet manager, we call expense console, and then we say add migration added foreign key in expense table. Fine. So our migration has successfully created a class. You can also see that over here. And it says that this is the expense table, and we are going to add a column called expense category, and we define that relationship over here. Now let's go ahead and apply the changes in database. Update database. Okay, so I think we have opened this table over here. Let's do one thing, because it is creating some constraint. Let's delete the existing record and try to run the command again. Fantastic. So now if you click on, you refresh it, and you click on the columns, you will see a foreign key is added, expense category ID. Okay, so now we have the table structure ready. Our entity class is now aware, our expense class model is aware about the expense category. So what is the next action? Next action is we need to modify the expense controller. Okay, expense controller, and we need to also modify the expense views to include expense category. In order to do that, let's first go to our expense controller, go to our index method, which displays all the expenses. Now remember, we need to include one piece of code where we say get all the expense, and along with expense, if the expense contains ID, get also the expense category name. So in order to do that, okay, the first thing we are going to do is that write the code over here in our controller class. So we simply do a for each. We're already fetching the expenses. Now this expense also contains expense category ID. So we can't show the category ID, we have to show the name. So this code will fetch the name for the category ID. So where object in expense list, that is this list, obj dot expense category, and we say contest dot expense category dot find, sorry, it's first default, enter, and let's say you lambda expression expense category ID. So this will be expense. This is expense list dot category expense category ID equals to obj object dot expense category. And this fetches the category name, and then what we need to do, this object is already there, and we need to return object. We don't have to, it is already there, so we don't have to return any object, it's already there. Okay, so this piece of code will actually take care of this. Now this is one change. Now we go to our expense index key, and we'll have to add the category over here. So we are going to give into expense ID, and then we say expense category, and we copy this, and we are going to say expense category dot expense category name. Let's run this project. Let's click on my expenses. Now this will fetch the record. It has no record, so okay, and then it will not run into the loop also. It's okay, but it will display no record. So this won't happen because right now there's no record, but what we can do is we can update this method over here. If we want to add, we can go ahead and add this one record in the table. So what are the categories? 4 mobile bills. So let's go ahead and try to add one record over here. So we say and give into digital. One minute. Okay, so now we got the ID slash slash 2022 and give it to digital 1000, and ID is 4. So 4 is mobile bill. Now let's go ahead and try to execute this. We should be able to see mobile bill in our expense list. I click on my expenses. See, you can see mobile bill is displayed. So let's go ahead and now complete this functionality by making changes in this update and add view. and even delete view. So it's time to write code over there. Okay, so let's go ahead and complete this code. So we'll click on the expense controller, and now in this method we have, in the index method we have already managed the code to fetch the category name that we displayed in the listing. Now in order to add new expense along with option to providing user to select the category, we need to write a code in the expense create method. Now create method will actually fetch all the expense category and save it in the view bag. So as I mentioned, view bag is used to pass data from the controller to the view. So let's go ahead and write the piece of code over here to fetch and store that in the view bag, and then we will add the drop down in the view of expense. So we say I enumerable, and we select selected list item, selected list item, that requires. Okay, so we need to add a variable selected expenses item selected. So this is a variable, yes, selected list item. In order to get this reference of selected list item, we need to include this library Microsoft ASP.NET Core.MVC.rendering, and then once we define this variable, we say we get expense category list, and say underscore contest dot expense category dot select bracket lambda expression and new select list item, enter open and close parenthesis and semicolon, and here you need to say text equals to I dot expense category name comma, and value is I dot expense category ID to string. So we have actually fetched the list of category name, and now we use view bag dot, we define a variable in view bag called populate expense category, and we pass this variable get expense category list. So when you click on the create method, okay, it will pre-populate all this information and store that in the view bag. Okay, and then we'll call the page. Now this is one thing. Now we have to go ahead and make the changes in the view. So click on expense, go to view, expense, and create. Now just write after the date, copy this and enter. Now this becomes our expense category ID, which will be displayed at expense category name as we change the display method in the model class. And we need to add this validation over here. Now instead of input, now code will change. Now this will not be an input, but this will be a select. So just say select ASP.4 and you add the expense category ID. Now we click on, we add ASP.items. Here we say at the rate view back and dot the name of the variable. So we define as populate expense category. Okay, for class form remains the same. Now we close the select tag. Okay, we don't, it's got, we close it over here. So this is our select tag. Okay, now inside that we give the options selected, and we say select expense category. Fine, so now our code is ready. Let us just execute it. Let's also add a breakpoint for the first time. Let's run the project. Sorry, I have to plug in my battery. Okay, so now we have this expense, and we click on expense. Now this will fetch it. Now click on add. So what is this doing? This is actually fetching all the variables, category, sorry. Okay, category, and then it has fetched the category. It's showing in this list, and it has passed that into the view variable here, and now it will call the view model. You can see list is displayed. So since we have displayed the drop down list, let's try to add some record and check. And we select as person known and 50,000, and we click on save. Okay, it comes over here. Okay, so there is an exception. And what is that exception? Let us check. An error occurred while saving entity. Okay, so foreign key. So basically, I guess the expense ID is not getting passed. Let me just check. Yes, the expense ID is 0. And why the expense ID is 0? We'll have to check. Let's go ahead and click on the create expense view. Check the code. This is expense category, and then we are fetching that view back, and we saved it. Okay, so this is not expense category, this is expense category ID. And let's execute this. There are two BRs. We just remove this and just execute again. Click on my expenses, click on add. We select the date, 1st of May. We say credit card bills and paid to MX, and let's give a save button. Yes, it got saved. So that was the issue. So if you notice, I had passed as expense category, but it was expense category ID. So now we are able to add the record. Now let's go ahead and add this expense category in our update and delete. So let's go ahead and go to the expense controller, and you have to copy this. Every time we call any create or update, we'll have to first pre-populate this expense details. So get expense details for update. Here also we'll have to add it. So let's go ahead. Now we have added this code in index, we have added in the create. We'll also have to add it in for update. Now once we add this in update, make sure that you go to this create expense, copy this code, okay, and go to your get expense details for update, and after your expense date br tag, paste this over here. Let's check the update functionality also. Click on my expense, sorry, this is clicked on the category, click on my expense. Let's click on update. You're able to see it selected the credit card bills. Let's go ahead and say house rent and try to save. It got changed to house rent. Okay, so our update is also working. Let's go ahead and also do the same for delete. So go to your expense controller, copy this method which fetches your expense category and sets your view back. Go to your for delete and paste this code over here. You will have to go to the delete view. Just copy this line of code. Razor code, go to delete, and after your expense date paste it. Okay, so this should also now show. Make sure that you go in the delete, go ahead in the class form and just add a tag disabled. Click on my expenses. Now click on delete. You're able to see that this is paid to. So um, expense category as 1000 is displayed, and we click on delete, it gets deleted. So guys, we have completed the entire functionality of the expenses. This layout is not as per the model which I showed, so let's go ahead and make the layout changes. So in order to make the layout changes, just close everything and go to your view shared layout, and here the bg white, and I can change this to bg warning, and this will give me that orange layout. Then I come to this header section in expense management space, and I add h3 tag so that it is bold. Okay, now this is our footer. So let's do one thing. This is a footer which occupies, like if you notice, I'll just show it to you. So if you notice, our footer comes in between because we'll have to push this in the bottom. So in order to do that, what you can do is that there is a script, HTML script. I'll just copy and paste and explain. So we remove this and paste this code over here. So we have added bottom position fixed, 100% width, background orange, and we have given a copyright expense manager Digital TechJoint. Okay, and reference to our home page. So once you make this change and refresh, you notice that the footer is coming in the bottom now and it is center aligned. So our header colors, if not, we have also made this expense management bold. Okay, let's go ahead and also make the color change there too. Okay, there was a space, that is why. So bg hyphen warning should actually change the color. Got it. In fact, we can just make changes over here also. So in order to do that, go to our home page index, because by default this is displayed, and we are going to say h1, and okay, and this is our expense management system. This is h2 and h1 is welcome, and we are going to say record, manage and track all your expenses, and this is, yeah, cool. Now we just refresh it. Got it. So this becomes our dashboard, which is similar to the end product we showed. We can also make this bold so that it is visible. Let's go to our master layout, share in the view folder, and this is an extra tag. So this, and here it's my expense, and you can just add bold. This is my expense, and this is your category. So now just refresh. Yes, so because my expenses, my category, and in the expense, as I showed now, we have included the expense category. So we are able to now add records, and we are able to update records. We are able to even delete the records, and we have a complete expense management module which tracks all your expenses and also tags it in a different category. So overall, we have covered our expense module and expense category over a look and feel of the project. Now it's time that we include security in our project. Now, since it is managing all your expenses, you can't keep this module open for all. So what are we going to do in the section 5 of this course is that we are going to create module for login and also registration. So somebody coming new and can register, and then he can log in to access his information, record his expenses. So the next section will talk about login and the registration page. So please stay tuned. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video. Please do like the video and do subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.